Welcome back with a smiling face. Links to previous episodes are given in the video description, so don't forget to like, subscribe and share the video. Taming the Ruthless Alpha. Episode 6. Chapter 50. Third-person POV. Skyla and Ricky had just learned the ugly truth. While they have been busy investigating who had started the fire and looking for concrete evidence of the sinister events of the molested rogue girls, the elders of the council have done their own investigations. Noah Morrison is not the true alpha of the Silver Moon Pack. It was Livy's father. He was the true alpha of the pack. Morrison was his beta who betrayed him by hiring a pack of rogues to attack the alpha. Our contacts found that the rogues he hired were supposed to kill Alpha Watson, by luring him to the spot where the attack was supposed to take place. Blake explained, making their eyes widen in shock. Skyla looked as if he had seen a ghost. His face paled, and anger seethed through him. It makes sense. I never felt I was powerful enough to be an alpha. I never felt the strong bond that many alphas talk about with their pack. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've been trying my best. I love my pack, even though they are a handful, he says, as he looked on the verge to break down. Yes, well, unfortunately for your pack, Noah never thought that the pack's Luna and her kids would be out so close, making the rogues attack them first. Morrison's intentions were to destroy Watson, and once dead, he'd leave his mate, and marry the Luna. No one knew why he was so obsessed with her. The rogues that lived in that attack mentioned that between him and Watson, they destroyed the rogues, killing them and ripping them to shreds. That doesn't help the situation. I mean, what about Mom? What about me? Do we not matter to him? Skyla says, becoming enraged. His face was heated, his wolf fought for dominance. We also need to look at the previous event. What are we going to do about the fire? Your father has enough in his name to be incarcerated for life. But I'm afraid the council might take more drastic measures against him, kid, my father says, placing his hand on Skyla's shoulder. Dad had this aura that could calm the wildest horse. Skyla sighed, closing his eyes and grunting in frustration. We can't just barge in and assume that Dad did this. What if it was the Rogue King that did this to my pack, he says, still looking for a glimpse of hope to find good in his dad. I get it, all the attacks the king has done against your pack point to him being the biggest suspect. But if you ask me, your dad had bigger motives for that territory to vanish. I mean, why else would they intentionally set fire to the dungeon? And what a coincidence that it started there. Not to mention all this new evidence. Caden tried to explain to Skyla as we sat around a private room. Skyla sighed, closing his eyes and lowering his head while covering his neck with his hands. I get him. This whole mess is stressful enough to add to the possibility that his dad may have started the fire. But why would he have an obsession with Livy's mom? It makes me angry to think he may try and do something to my Livy. I mind-linked Tate quickly and warned him to keep a closer eye on her. But why would he do that? I don't get it. He loved that pack. I remember he and Watson were close friends. I always thought Dad was the alpha and Watson the beta. He said so himself, but after the attack, things changed. His son and I grew up together, we were friends, despite our age difference. There were so many good memories between us, and I admired the guy, he says, nodding in disbelief. I get why me though. I always felt he was stronger than me, despite Dad saying one day I would be alpha and he would be my beta. It made me feel confused. He was probably already planning things to be that way, kid. It didn't mean he wouldn't dare to hurt Watson's son either. People have motives. Just because you see a person daily, doesn't mean you know all of their true intentions. Beta Tyler, the former beta of the Primered Pack, says as he takes a sip from his whiskey. He knew far too well not to be too comfortable around people, sometimes even family could betray you. Just as Skyla had learned just now. It was Tyler's brother Wesley who had betrayed him, when he went around killing innocent people to please his mate, Hope. She was to become the next leader of her Leakin pack, and they were great in numbers with a huge territory, but she was greedy for more. She seemed so innocent because of her beauty, and nice personality, but she was wicked, and she had turned Wesley into a killing machine to get her way. Except, she didn't want Wesley either because he was a rogue. She secretly plotted to end Wesley and Tyler's mate to end with Tyler, whether Tyler wanted her or not. When Tyler gave her the awful truth that he was in fact in love with his mate Emily and he would never be with Hope, she decided to end Emily but ended up being disabled by Emily. To this day, Hope is in a wheelchair, while Emily has done great things, teaching healers around different packs, including her son Asher, the new beta of their pack. Tyler hasn't seen Wesley in over a decade when he finally decided to leave Hope in her pack, becoming a rogue once again. He can only hope he is doing well and still alive. But it's a good thing, he's been gone. Because Alaric would probably kill him if he ever saw him. He was the man that killed Alaric's mother when he tried to take over the Dark Moon pack. He killed so many of their members without mercy. In Ricky's eyes, Wesley deserved the fate the elders of the council gave him. He can rot for all he cares. Then what do we do now? I mean, we have the evidence to place my father behind bars for the killings of the Watson family, and for girls he wrongfully incarcerated and the crimes he and the other alphas committed. But we have no witnesses besides Olivia and Desiree. We have no clue what happened to all those girls or where they are. How will we ever find out if any of them even exist, or even if they would be willing to talk against them? Skyla says, making us look at each other. If Brandon was alive, I would do the right thing and give him back the pack. No matter how painful it would be, I'd give it back to him. He deserves it. He was a great guy. He didn't deserve to die like that. I guess, I'll still have to step down. Livy is the rightful owner of the pack, he says, looking down at the floor. His heart filled with guilt. Ricky growled, making him look up. You have a point. We don't know where these girls are. It's as if they had vanished out in thin air. But Livy doesn't have a need for the pack. She already has one. Ricky adds, feeling territorial over his mate. We will have to take this up with the council and see what can be done. For now, the biggest thing to do is find witnesses. Blake adds. Hey, you can't go in there. Stop. I don't want to hurt you, little girl. My beta. Zane sounded as if he fought someone outside our door, making us growl. It sounded as if things were shattering, and stumbling, and thus from a fight going on. It smelled of rogue. They had a pungent smell of wild animals. Sure, Most stank because they lacked the simple necessities like clean water and hygienic supplies, but somehow this person didn't give out the smell of dirty rogues so badly, as most rogues would. I have to talk to them. Please, they are the only ones that can help me. Blake growled, closing his eyes. He had a higher sense for things. He was as old if not older than my father, they were extremely wise, and so are their wolves. Let her in, he says, making us look at each other. Zane, it's fine. Let her in. I told my beta through our mind link. He stopped fighting her, and she bursts through the doors. She was young. She looked not much older than our age, if not younger than a few years. I can take you to the girls Noah tortured, I know where they are. But you have to do something for me. Please, she begged. Tears flooded her face. She looked between us through her dark almost black eyes. She was petite, with light brown skin, almost the same tone as my Livy. Her long wild hair flowed down her back and left messy. But it was as if the room stood still. Skyla got up quickly, and it was as if they had both become in a trance as they stared at each other. Then the unexpected happened. I heard his words, "Mate," he whispered, making them look at each other in disbelief. Well, this was unexpected. Caden adds, making them agree as they nod their head. It was almost rare for a werewolf to find a second chance mate, 1 in hundreds ever did get a second chance. Just when Skyla thought he had lost everything, he had a beautiful young rogue in front of him. His second chance mate. The question is, what would happen between him and Lesh now? How can he explain to her he has found his second chance mate? And what would happen to his mate? Even if she was a rogue, and had just met her, the pull was strong, H felt it, and she felt it. But would she accept him? The son of the man who has captured the man who saved her life? Would she even forgive the fact he already has a chosen mate? Alaric, Skyla and the rogue girl stared at each other, as if it was a staring contest, making us feel awkward. The room was silent, until Blake cleared his throat, making them come out of their staring contest. I have to say, I am a little relieved that he found this girl. A part of me was somewhat always scared that Livy could take him back if he ever realized what a pathetic excuse for a mate he has. I know it's bad, but I hope he could work things out with Leah. It benefits me that they stayed, but this girl doesn't seem too bad. A part of me feels I have seen her somewhere before, I just can't seem to remember from where. Young lady. You said you could take us to the girls. What girls are you talking about, if you don't mind me asking? Blake asked, placing his hand on his knee as he leaned forward. Right. She says, looking at Skyla. It was as if he had completely forgotten what was happening. He was dumbfounded by this girl. He chuckles lightly, lowering his head as she becomes blushed. My name is Madeline DeMarco. I am the daughter of Hector and Elisa DeMarco. I'm sure you must know my father. He's Alpha of Hillside Pack, she says, making the elders narrow their eyebrows. She said something I wasn't quite getting. A few months back, my father exiled me from my pack to give the Alpha position to my stepsister, Alana, and whoever becomes her mate. What exactly does this have to do with the girls we are looking for? The elder, Alpha James asked, making Skyla growl in a low tone. My father and his beta, Henry Swan, have been torturing girls, and helping Alpha Noah with the molestations of those girls. When I found out about them, my father exiled me and promised to kill me if he ever saw me again. Recently, Aloha Noah, she says, as her voice changes. She sounded distressed, worried. Her eyes became watery, and she began to sob. Alpha Noah has our rogue king. You have to save him. Please. I promise if you save him, I will tell you where those girls are hiding. Alpha Alaric, you of all people owe him this favor. He saved you a few times, and you know it, she says, looking at me with worry. Why should I help him? Why should I care if Noah has the rogue king? Because he is the rightful owner of the Silver Moon Pack. His name is Brandon Watson. The rightful alpha to Silver Moon Pack. He is the one that saved me and all those girls from Noah, his beta Gunter. My father and 3 more alphas are also with them. I can give you their names, but only if you promise to help me save Brandon, she demanded. You could hear the anger seething through her. But her revelation shocked me. My eyes widened, as did everyone in the room. What? I asked. Black growled, making me feel puzzled. If what she was saying was true, then that means that the rogue king is actually Livy's brother. Fuhuyuk. Caden adds, making me give him a disdainful look. Dude, really? I say, making him shrug his shoulders. Okay. Madeline, you said, right? I say, lifting my hand. Yes. My name is Madeline DeMarco. Now can we please stop wasting time? He's going to kill him. Please. If Noah doesn't kill him, my father will. He knows Brandon was the one who saved me when he sent his men to kill me the first time, she says, genuinely concerned. You have to do something. Things just got more complicated. If what you said is true, then I will do my best to save him. But mark my words, woman, if you are lying to me, I will make sure you meet your daddy, before the end of the day. And I will leave you to fend for yourself in front of him. Got it? Was I really going to? No. Livy would kill me. Plus it wasn't my tactics. I'd probably give her asylum, and help those girls too, but I was not going to tell her that. I will not let that happen. Skyla added, getting in front of her, and growling at me. Gotta say, this guy is finally growing some balls. Hope he doesn't go and dam it up like he did with Leah and Livy. Leah. She's going to be pissed when she finds out about this Madeline girl. Then make sure she's telling the truth. I will not put the life of my wife or my pack's safety in jeopardy for some rogue we just met. Even if she is your mate. I thought I made myself clear from the start, Alpha Skyla. I will not stand for insubordination, and I will not be fooled by a rogue who says she is the daughter of an alpha. Rick, she's telling the truth. I can sense her wolf. She has alpha blood, my wolf, Black says, making me growl. Calm down, boys, my father says as he stands up, placing a hand on our shoulders. Look. The fact of the matter is, no one ever found Brandon Watson's body. The possibility of him being alive out there somewhere is still pretty high. We cannot just ignore this request. We need to take this up with the council ASAP and ask for their authorization to invade the hillside pack to rescue the rogue king. This can be a chance for us to kill two birds with one stone. Tyler says, making us look at each other. Well, we did need to apprehend them. Right? I guess we are just going to have to act sooner than anticipated. I say, making the girl's eyes light up. Luckily for you, sweetheart, my dad says, standing up and fixing his coat, you have a few members of the council right in front of you, and given you only need the authorization of at least 3 members, which, there is. And more, he says, pointing to him, Blake, and Tyler, along with James, and the other alphas present, you boys have our authorization to invade the pack. May our goddess and our ancestors protect and guide you, he says, nodding to us. The elders nod in agreement as Skyla and I look at each other. Then it's settled. Get everyone ready. There might be a war happening soon. So stay alert, and protect the women at all costs. I say, giving orders to Zane and clenching my jaw. I guess the gallery will have to wait. Zane says, making me grunt. I need to keep this from Livy, but if I don't tell her what's going on, she will be so angry with me. How do I break this news to her? I am about to save the Rogue King, aka, my wife's long-lost brother, Brandon Watson. Third-person POV. The clock is ticking and Alaric stands by the door of his car, contemplating how to break the news to Livy. Meanwhile, Brandon begins to regain his conscience somewhere else. The car moves rather quickly, making their bodies jolt and jump as they go over road bumps and swerve from sharp turns. It's now or never. He has to tell her, regardless of the cause or effect of the matter. Livy, what about this one? Do you have it in red? Oh, and light blue too. Oh, maybe I should get the black one too. Leah asks the young girl for a dress she held up, as we begin to shop in a small boutique. We are just getting started with our shopping and I am already getting irritated by her presence. Chop chop. Go fetch my dresses, will you? She tells the girl, making me grunt inwardly as the girl looks at us with shock in her eyes. I mouth out I'm sorry, and the girl has no choice but to sigh as she turns and does as she is told. I gotta say, she has good taste, but the worst attitude when asking for things. I can't wait to meet Ricky and take a nice long hot bath before we need to meet up for the lunch date at his friend's restaurant. But something didn't seem right today for some reason. Something just felt off, I can sense it. Call it intuition, or whatever you'd like, but I know something is wrong, awfully wrong. 10 minutes later and I am done. I am ready to leave, and I can care less if Leah wants to stay behind. I paid for my stuff, turned on my heel, followed by Tate and my other guards, and walked out towards the car. It took me aback as I get out of the store and I see Ricky getting out of his car right up front of the store, followed by his guards and Zane. Ricky! I sprinted to him, throwing myself into his arms, and kissing his lips as I wrapped my hands around his neck. Hi, baby, he says, hugging me tightly, and sighing. Livy, there's something I need to talk to you about, he says, making me feel uneasy. I knitted my eyebrows, biting my bottom lip as I look sternly into his beautiful sky blue eyes. He takes my hand as we both walk toward a sitting area near the store I was just in. Okay, What's going on? Is everything okay? Wait. Is the pack okay? Oh, no. Is your dad okay? I ask as numerous questions begin to invade my mind. There are numerous possibilities, and all seem to make me feel more uncomfortable as they wrap around my head. Livy, you said, he begins, closing his eyes and grunting as his hands hold my hands tightly. You said they never found your brother's body. Right? He asks, making me feel perplexed. Right. But, what does this have to do with anything? I ask, looking at him puzzled. Livy, I think there's a possibility that your brother is alive, he says, making my blood run cold. I look at him in shock, and no matter how much I try to process what he was saying, I just could not hold myself together. I sat there looking at him through tears as I try and process everything. My brother is alive, he's alive. Brandon is alive. But he's in danger. Livy, we need to go and save him, before Skyla's dad gets to him first. I'm sorry, baby. I know this is too much for you, but I promise. I promise I will do my best to save him, he says, making me look at him through tears. He's alive. I finally say, unable to stop my tears from falling. Yes, but Livy, as I said, Noah has him. Livy, Brandon is the rogue king, and Noah has him. He's going to try and hurt him. He's... What? What do you mean? I could not believe my ears. I know. I sound utterly stupid right now, but I mean, give me a break. Brandon is alive. My brother is alive. All this time I thought he was dead, but he's not. He's alive, and now I find that Alpha Noah has him, and Brandon, the rogue king. No. Brandon could never. He's not like that, Ricky. I promise. My brother could never be a menace. He's the sweetest. I said through tears, unbelieved by what I was hearing. He stands thus, pulling me by my hands and cupping my cheeks as I cry uncontrollably. Baby, I know. We misunderstood him. We misunderstood him. He's not a menace, but that's not important right now. What's important right now is that time is running out, and we don't know what Noah is capable of. We need to stop him and save your brother, he says, running his left hand down my back, soothingly, but it only made me feel more uneasy. Then we should go. I need to save him, Ricky. I need to go. No, Livy. You need to stay. I will save him, I promise, he says, making me growl as I become irritated by his suggestion. What? No. Ricky, I will not stand by and watch my brother get hurt. I need to go with you and save him. He needs me, Ricky. He needs to know I'm okay. I need to see him. I need to go. I was becoming desperate. There was no way I would just stand by and watch. Noah had always been a menace. I'd seen how he mistreated and hurt many others. How he ruined many lives and ended many of them. I would not stand by to watch the same be done to my brother. All this time I wanted to end the Rogue King because I thought he was just as bad as Alpha Noah, but he's my brother. I still can't believe it. My tears kept rolling, and I fought with Ricky, arguing with him senselessly until he finally caved in. Leah was just coming out of the store when I ran to the car and got inside. We needed to head out and get ready. I had a feeling there was a war coming, and I was not going down without a fight. I had to have my brother. I need to save him and tell him who I am. I need him. I need Brandon to be okay. Goddess, I hope we get there in time because I swear if Noah hurts him I will rip him apart myself. We stood in full gear. I stood with my hair done in a tight ponytail, wearing black armor, and grunting as I fought with the harness of my holster, trying to keep my gun in place. I grunted, huffing as I tightened it and placed more knives covered in wolfsbane inside my side pockets. My mind was set, I had enough with Noah. I would make sure to end him tonight, and if he dared touch a hair of my brother, I would make sure he paid for it greatly. Liverer, you need to relax, babe, Ricky whispers, standing next to me in full armor as I grunt, fidgeting with my weaponry. I know, okay? What if we're too late? I said, scared out of my mind, as I began to cry. Baby, I promise, I will not let anything happen to him. I know there are a lot of questions, but if there is one thing I can guarantee is that I will bring him back to you alive. Okay, he says, placing his hands on my shoulders and pulling me closer to him until he wraps me into a bear hug. I can't help but sob in his arms as I bury my head in his chest, hugging him tightly. I just can't believe this, Ricky. Brandon is alive. He's alive and I had no clue, he could have been stepping away from me, and I didn't know. What if he and I had hurt each other, without knowing who each other was? Ricky, I would hate myself if I had ever hurt him. I say, tightening my hold on him. I know, baby. I know, he says, placing a kiss on the top of my head. Okay, we're all set. Alpha, are you ready? Skyla says, making me growl. Your father is at fault for all this. I should have, Livy, stop. Skyla is not at fault for what his dad has done. He's willing to help us. He's the one who has been helping me to uncover everything and get Noah behind bars. Ricky says, pulling me back by the waist as I try and launch at him. I was seeing red by now. My anger was messing with my judgment perhaps, but I was just so mad. I don't know what to do, my brother is alive. I need to save him, I need to be with him and make sure he's okay. To make matters worse, Leah had arrived with shopping bags in hand and complained that I had left her. How could you leave me back there? I thought we were shopping together, you are not being a good host, Olivia. I rolled my eyes, completely annoyed. I had no time and honestly, I was beyond past irritated by her presence. I rolled my eyes and looked at her dead in her eyes, making her stop in her tracks. Shut up, Leah. I can care less about you or your stupid selfish ass. You can drop the act. I am not your friend and never will be, so stop acting as if I owe you anything. You are nothing but an entitled one, who thinks the world owes her everything. There are more important things happening right now, so get your stupid entitled geared up because there is a war happening. I say, making her eyes widen in shock. What? A war. You heard me. A war, and as the Luna of the Silver Moon Pack you are obligated to go, and don't you dare try and hide like you always do. Stop being a coward, making everyone do things for you. You chose to be the Luna, now suck it up and do your job. I yelled in her face, getting angrier by the minute. But somehow, it had worked. She had no way to run. She was forced to gear up, and before we knew it, we were on our way as I heard diligently to their plan. My nerves were a wreck as Freya and I fought for dominance. She was trying to merge and run as fast as we possibly could to go and save Brandon. How could I not know? I always somehow knew, I hoped, and prayed he was alive. Little did I know my answers were not in vain. He's alive, and I need to go to him. Please, Goddess, please, help me save him. Let me get there in time. I need to know that he is alive and that he is well. Third-person POV. Brandon's hands are handcuffed behind his back with silver shackles, making his skin burn. But the adrenaline surging through his body keeps him from feeling much pain. He's mad, crazy mad, but just as Wesley had taught him, he remains calm and composed. It won't be long before he frees himself and tears his captors apart. All he needed to do was be patient and wait for the right moment to strike. Walk, you imbecile! I am not going to repeat myself, and don't you dare try anything funny. I'll rip your head off, understand, boy? Gunter says, menacingly as he grits his teeth, pulling on Brandon's hand and making him stumble a bit. Brandon can't help but growl low, as he fights with his wolf to keep calm. Hey, you! He yells at a guard standing post at the entrance to Hector DeMarco's territory. Open the gate, and tell Hector we got a surprise for him. Hurry up, he demands, making the guard growl. Noah is fast to walk before the guard, striking him in the cheek as he hears him growl, making the young guard crash against the gate behind him. Do as you are told, or I'll make sure you rot in a cell before I get a chance to kill this rogue in front of your alpha, he says, making the guard fear for his life. The guard staggers to his feet and runs off to open the gate, mind-linking the alpha that he has guests, and they have a surprise for him. They drag Brandon all the way inside the territory, making him stumble a few times before he is shoved before Alpha DeMarco, making him fall on his side before him. Got a little gift for you, Hector. Now, Noah says with a wicked smile on his face. How about that precious gift you promised I brought you? None other than the Rogue King before you? Hey, he says, as his mind begins to roam with perverted thoughts of the girls Hector has captive in his dungeon for him in exchange for the Rogue King's capture. So this is the infamous Rogue King? Hey, he says, scoffing as he looks down at Brandon. He kicks him harshly on his stomach and smiles as he hears Brandon grunt in pain. He kicks him again, and again, making Brandon stumble onto his back, growling as he tries to control his wolf. Not now, are we, little king, he says, grabbing him by the shirt and punching him on his jaw repeatedly. I'm going to enjoy torturing you slowly until you beg me to kill you, Hector says, gritting his teeth as he spits his words in Brandon's face. By the time I'm done with you, you're gonna be wishing you never helped that stupid bastard daughter of mine, he says, making Brandon spit blood in his face, making him shut his eyes and look away. Hector wipes his face and then punches Brandon again, making him fall to the ground, and kicks him again repeatedly until he's had enough. His breath is staggered as Brandon coughs as he turns on his stomach. Hector fixes his shirt, tossing his hair back as he runs his fingers through it. Noah and Gunter look in satisfaction as Brandon lies in agony, with his mouth and nose bleeding, and numerous red marks on his face from the blows Hector landed on him. His clothes were covered in dirt and old dried grass, as he grunted to regain his posture. If they only knew what fate awaited them. As soon as he sets himself free, all will break loose. He's always been able to communicate with all the rogues he has rescued, just as any pack would. They had become a family as well. He had a long mind linked to them and told them of his whereabouts. It won't be long before they crash their party and help him rip them apart, one by one. But the satisfaction and honor of killing Noah would be his. And his alone. The deal was you bring his head. And you bring my bastard daughter back to me as well. So where is she? He demands, making Noah irritated. The deal was I bring you the Rogue King, and you demanded he tell you where he keeps her hiding, so you can go and take care of her yourself. Now give me my price, he says, fisting his hands and clenching his jaw. Your price? Hector replies, chuckling as his eyes darken. Brandon is toying with his handcuffs, ignoring the burnt feel of the silver as he tries to set himself free. Noah. There's no deal unless, he says, looking down at Brandon. He walks up to Noah and looks at him sternly as he clenches his jaw. They seem to have a stare down for a second, giving Brandon a few more seconds to try and break the cuffs. Unless what? Noah replies, not backing down from his gaze. You have a drink with an old friend, he says before both men burst into laughter and shake hands in joy. You old weasel! Took you long enough. I thought you were bluffing when you said you could catch the king. Now the only thing left is finding my bastard daughter and getting rid of her. Once we do that, my little Alana can take over as alpha of my pack. This old wolf is ready to retire, he says, stretching as he begins to walk toward the pack house. Noah chuckles, nodding in disbelief. If you ask him, they were not old enough to retire. They were in their prime, ready to keep conquering the world, and taking over more packs that were too small and vulnerable to handle their wrath. Gunth, get this mutt into the pillory and make sure you tighten his cuffs pretty good. The other alphas will be here soon, we wouldn't want to see them miss the action before they get here, he says, patting Hector on his shoulder as they chuckle and walk away. Gunter pulls him up harshly as he pretends to be badly hurt. A perfect distraction to grab the keys and hide them in his palm, sliding them down his sleeve and through his shirt, making them go down to the inside of his shoe as Gunter drags him away. Instead of setting him on the pillory as he was told, he throws him against a pole, making Brandon's shoulder hit the pole, and he falls to the ground. He then ties a silver chain around his torso, making the chain go between his hands, which Gunter thinks are still right around his wrists, leaving the chain still with enough feet to let him walk a few steps if he wanted to. Besides, with the stinging sensation of the silver and the beating he just received, he doubts Brandon could go anywhere. I told you, kid, you should have never come back. Why couldn't you and your daddy just leave as we warned you? Now your daddy is gonna be all alone, with no one else left to watch over his sorry crippled ass. Gunter says, making Brandon mad. Brandon growls, standing up abruptly, making Gunther's face go pale. He launches himself toward him but falls back as the chain pulls him back, making Gunter chuckle. Nice try, but you're not getting away this time. You're going to rot in here for the rest of the little time your sorry excuse of a life you have. And I will have the time of my life enjoying the rest of my life without you around, he says, chuckling as he nods his head, feeling victorious. Oh, and, did I tell you, he says, pointing a finger toward him, your sister, Olivia. She's alive, and she's hot. Who knows, with you soon out of the way, and us living in her territory for a while, there will be no one to stop me from finally getting my way with her. Who knows? I might make her my new asterisk, he says, making Brandon and his wolf lose it. He of course knew Livy was alive, he had just seen her. But there was no way he would allow some perverted middle-aged bastard to place a single finger on her. He growls, trying again as he kicks his foot, making Gunter fall to the ground, making Brandon take advantage as he wraps his feet around his neck and begins to choke him. Gunter struggles, exposing his wolf nails and digging them into Brandon's flesh, but the rage inside him blinds Brandon. He tightens his legs until there is a loud cracking sound of Gunther's neck breaking. Gunter suddenly stops fidgeting as his body lies lifeless before Brandon. You will never touch my sister or any other girl ever again, you disgusting pig. Mark my words, you and all your generation are doomed. I'll make sure your lineage becomes extinct for the rest of time. Pig. Brandon says as he kicks Gunther's body, spitting at him, and then scooches back toward the pole as he takes in a much-needed breath. His eyes close, as he leans his head back against the pole, feeling the sting on his sore muscles from Hector's kicks and punches. Hurry, guys! I don't know if I'll be able to take on all of them on my own, he mind-links, hoping that his members are on their way to save him. He slowly drags his foot, looking for the key, but realizes it's not there. The key had fallen out as he was choking Gunter, and he looked around everywhere for it, but with no luck. Then he sees it, it's way past Gunther's body, where he won't be able to reach for it. It's too far, and no one will come to see him here, for the only ones allowed in that part of the territory are the alphas and their betas. There's nothing else he can do but wait. His body is feeling tired and weak from the silver and the beating. If he can just rest a little, he knows he can try again, maybe, if luck can get on his side, he can break the metal pole, and maybe the chain can break. Maybe he can get the cuffs to loose enough for him to slip his hands through. Whatever happens, he needs to keep trying. He can't give up. For his sake, for Livy's sake, for Dad's sake. Brandon, I felt like I had closed my eyes for a second, but to be fair, it may have been longer than 10 minutes or so. I felt a kick to my side, making me growl. What did you do? What did you do? Noah growls, as he begins to kick me repeatedly, and punches me on the side of my jaw until Hector pulls him off me. Gunther's body still lay lifeless a few feet away from me, making me smirk in pride. He had it coming, and if you ask me, he was lucky I was tired, if not, I would have let my wolf tear him to shreds. I could feel the slight burning sensation on my left jaw from his weak punch. I couldn't help but chuckle as I lowered my head and nodded. He had it coming. And let me tell you, I took joy in doing it. I said, chuckling, making Noah growl louder as he tried to launch at me again. That was my best friend, you imbecile. Do you have any idea what you have done? I'm going to kill you. I don't give a rat, if I promised your mother to never kill you and your pathetic father. I'm going to kill you for what you've done, he says, making my blood boil. You keep my mother's name out of your mouth. You have no right to mention her. You lost that privilege the minute you rejected her as your mate. He looked at me in shock when I uttered my words. I scoff, looking at him in anger, yet I know the truth. My father told me she was your true mate. And you rejected her for your chosen mate because you thought she was too weak. Only you didn't know my father would end as her second chance mate, did you? I spat, gritting my teeth. You couldn't stand seeing her with him, could you? Which is why you tried to obligate her to come back to you, the minute you found my father had gladly accepted her. You couldn't stand to see your best friend, correction, your ex-best friend, and your ex-fated mate being together. I said, making him punch me again. You know nothing. She was my mate, I didn't reject her, she rejected me. Me. The beta of the Silver Moon Pack. I was strong, I deserved to be with her. No. You deserved nothing. What did you think? That she would be with you after she caught you with someone else in bed the day she found you were her mate? Did you expect her to just overlook all of the you were doing behind closed doors? Sleeping with one woman after another? She hated you, and what you did. She was better off with my father, who loved her to death. I gritted my teeth, and scooted myself closer to the pole behind me, making me wince as I felt the burn around my wrists intensify by the silver cuffs. I loved your mother, and she chose your father over me. I could never forgive her for that. Yet, our pull was too strong for me to hate her. Loved her? Please. I said, scoffing at his remark. You only wanted her back because you saw how strong she became next to my father. You in return, acted behind their back, selling off rogue girls to all these sick-minded pervs. Betraying my father by killing her, because you couldn't have her, and stealing the pack from him. For nearly 24 years you have stolen the pack from him. But not for long, Noah. When I get out of these cuffs, I will make sure to rip your head off and restore my father's pack to the pack it once was. I say, making him chuckle. His pack? It was never his. He wasn't man enough, nor strong enough to keep a pack. He's weak, useless, just like you, he says, making me angry. I tried to get up and launch myself at him, but the chain pulled me back, and I felt a punch to my stomach by Hector's hand, making me cough. Your mother was supposed to be mine, I should have been her mate. I could have protected her, she wasn't supposed to die that night. It was supposed to be your father. I ordered those rogues to kill him. I was supposed to lure him to that side of the pack to look at the perimeter, where he would be attacked and killed. Your mother and you were not supposed to be there. Livy was not supposed to be there. My little Livy. Don't you dare call her yours. She is not your daughter. She may not be my blood, but she is like my daughter. She is the only thing I have left of her, he says, referring to my mother and the resemblance between my mom and Livy. I chuckle, nodding my head. Like hell. Do you think I'm not aware of how you treat omegas? Because that's what you turned her into, didn't you? Because I highly doubt you treated her like the Princess Livy deserved to be treated like. Nothing could stand in your way of taking the pack from us, and that also included making your son, Skyla, the next Alpha, and making sure Livy did not know she was the daughter of the true Alpha. It was true, it all clicked now. The girl they said they mistreated in the pack, it had always been Livy. Many of the pack members we have saved told us about her, but Dad refused to believe it was Livy. He refused to believe Livy was being given a mediocre life, and being treated like an Omega. I'm going to kill you, Noah. You can bet on that. First you gotta go through me, kid. And believe me, I'm not going to make it easy for you. I'm going to have fun torturing you very, very slow. Hector says, chuckling as he lifts me by the arm harshly, and punches me again in my stomach. That's for hiding the sorry excuse of my daughter in your lands. He then punches me again, that's for giving her the idea she can hide from me and giving her the hopes that she deserves a life. He then extends his claws, and hits me on my stomach, piercing me with them, and making me grunt as I feel them pierce my skin. Alpha, the other Alphas are here. They're making their way inside the gates, a warrior says, lowering his head. I cough, grunting as he lets go of me, making me fall to the ground. Good. Let them know where we are. It's time we have a little fun with the Rogue King. It's time we see a little blood run. Time for some fun, boys, he says as they turn on their heels and walk away, leaving me in agony. My wounds heal very fast, but the fact I have my hands and body tied around silver chains makes it slow down, and the pain is still there, lingering. Where are you guys? Get over here, now. I mind linking my people, as I struggle to breathe through the pain. Third-person POV. Little did Brandon know, there was a war waiting to happen. There was more help coming his way, but not without blood being spilled. Livy was filled with anger and worry as she rode in the back of the car, moving at full speed through the dirt road toward Hector's pack. They had no clue that Alaric and other Alphas were about to make them pay for all they had done. Third-person POV. No one knew exactly who the Rogue King was by name, other than Noah, before the council found out. Noah had kept it secret, knowing quite well if he said anything, everyone would find out how he had become the Alpha of the Silver Moon Pack. They would know he had forcibly taken it from Livy's dad, and stolen the Alpha position from Brandon as well. They would know all of his secrets, and Noah could not let that happen. They pulled Brandon by the arm, as the chains dragged heavily behind him. There was one good side of staying unknown. No one knew much about him. Who he was, where he stayed, who was infiltrated with him. Not even who had trained him. Wesley Slate was known notoriously as a menace and a rogue that no one wanted to be tangled with. But Noah knew he wanted to have fun, and what better than to make two notoriously menacing rogues go at each other's throat to give a good show for the visiting Alphas before they auctioned off the new rogue woman. Brandon's eyes lifted as he heard growling and the sound of metal smashing together. He hears a loud growl, and a whine as he comes toward the entrance to a corral. The center is covered in blood along with a whirl of dust that slowly diminishes. Wesley stands with a mace in one hand, and a short staff axe in the other hand. His chest rises heavily as his body heaves from the numerous fights he has just performed. His arms, legs, chest, everything, covered in splatters of blood from the other 8 men he has just fought against. The alphas are standing around, smiling evilly as they enjoy the scenery of medieval fights, sipping on beers as if there was nothing wrong with forcing innocent men to fight for their enjoyment. Brandon's eyes widen in shock, right before he gets thrown into the center of the corral. Wesley is shocked by Brandon's presence, but he knows this is a plan he has to make to free Brandon from their wrath. He masquerades his concern with a smirk and stands tall as he grasps his mace tightly. Now the fun begins, boys. I hope you place good bets. My money is on the older one. What about you, comrade? Hector asks, a tall man with dark hair and dark eyes. He stands nonchalantly, looking between the men as he sips on his whiskey. His deep voice vibrates as he closes his eyes. None. I'll sit this one out. My eyes are on a higher bet, he says, making Hector and Noah exchange glances, with a smirk. Surely, he was talking about the long dark-haired beauty they had just captured. She was quiet and refused to eat a single bite since the day they brought her, making her the perfect price for a dominant alpha like him. I didn't quite catch your name. You're new here, aren't you? Hector asks, getting no response in return. But the dark aura of the man gave off, made him not want to pursue the subject. Take the chains off and arm him, Hector says, clearing his throat. A warrior comes forward and takes Brandon's chains off along with the shackles around his hands. Then another warrior throws 2 dark swords by his feet and walks away. Brandon is left dumbfounded as he stares between the alphas and Wesley. Don't worry, kid. I'm going to get you out of here. I promise. Wesley says through their mind link. Wes. No. It's too dangerous. We have no choice. It's now, or never. It's just you and I, kid. I ordered our pack to stay away. We can't put them at risk. Now, you ready? He says, standing on guard. Ready to charge? Yush. I'm ready. Let's teach them who Wesley and Brandon are, he says, slowly getting down to grab the swords and gripping them tightly, standing up ever so slowly. The rules are simple. The last man standing gets to walk free. Understood? Now, refuse to kill your opponent, and you will be executed. Gentlemen, if you've placed your bets, begin. Hector says, pointing toward them with his beer. Brandon's heart is racing, and Wesley encourages him through their mind link as they stand face to face on opposite ends. They both grip their weapons and then let out a roar as they begin to charge toward one another. But they continue to run past each other, running toward the alphas as they both jump into the air. Brandon strikes Alpha Sinclair, slashing him across his chest and slicing his body in 2. Wesley hits another alpha by the name of Gordon, right on the left side of his face. The mace smashes his head in, making the blood splatter over other alphas' scream. The war erupts, and both men are surrounded by numerous men, attacking them with full force. The dark man slowly retreats, nodding to his men to go and find his price. Wait, you need to stay and help. This is a minor setback. Please, help us. Hector says as he holds him by the arm. The man looks down at his arm, making Hector retreat his hand quickly. My name is Hunter Black. Alpha of the Blood Moon Pack of the North. You enslaved my sister. I am only here to take her back. Your death and the downfall of your pack are not of my concern, he says, making Alpha Hector DeMarco's eyes widen in shock. I didn't know. I swear, he stutters, making Hunter's eyes turn dark. He grips Hector by the throat and squeezes tightly, making him struggle for breath. He extends his claws, and slashes Hector's across his face, making him fall to the ground. It would seem he had ended his life there, making Hunter smirk with satisfaction as he cleared his throat and signaled his men to follow as the other men were entangled in a fight with Brandon and Wesley. Livy, as soon as the car came to a halt, I jumped off, grabbed my weapons, and took a few steps, ready to run. Livy, wait, Ricky says, grabbing my arm. I can't wait. He's in there, I know it. He needs me, Ricky. I know that. But a war is happening in there already. Livy, you need to keep your head clear. I don't want anything to happen to you. Please, baby. I can't lose you in there, he says as he cups my face with his hands and places his forehead against mine. I have had no room for thought for other than the fact my brother is alive and now in danger. Ricky has been there for me all this time, and yet I have not taken thought of his feelings for me. I will be careful. I promise. But you have to promise to be careful too. Please, Ricky. I say, hugging him around his waist and placing a feather-like kiss on his lips. I will. I promise. But if anyone dares to touch you, I swear I will end them, he says, making me chuckle through tears. I love you, Mrs. Danley, he says, hugging me around my shoulders tightly. I love you too, Mr. Danley, I say, kissing him back. We're ready to go. Rick, we gotta get in there. There's a fight already happening in there, and I'm afraid Brandon is outnumbered by hundreds. Caden says, making my blood cold with fear. I look at Ricky with worry, and he smiles a little. He will be fine. I promise. Now, he says, turning and looking at everyone with us. You all know the drill. Keep our women safe, rescue as many as possible, and our women, go kick ass, he says, making everyone respond with hoo. We barge in, running as fast as our feet can take us, knocking down their walls as we barge in. I'm coming, brother. Please, please, hold on. Livy, as soon as we were inside their territory, my sole purpose was to find my brother. No one, and I mean no one, will stop me. I will not allow anyone to stand in my way, not even Noah. Freya was just as mad. She pitched to get out, making me grunt, growl, and roar as I struck one person after another as I fought my way in. Alaric and Caden stood close to me, taking down one warrior after another, but there were so many of them. I fought as if my life depended on it. I was so angry, that I was probably not thinking well. The mercy I once felt as I learned to fight, was gone at this moment. All I could think was getting even with Noah, and ripping his head off. I slid across the dirt ground like a baseball player trying to steal third base and quickly stood, punching a she-wolf in the face. Then I turned and struck another she-wolf with a long stick that was on the ground, hitting her on the side of her head. I took pleasure in seeing her fall unconsciously against a tree. I'm coming for you, Noah. Your head is mine. I said as I grabbed a girl running toward me by her throat, slammed her against the ground and dug one of my arrows on my chest. Liv. I heard Ricky call my name out, making me turn quickly. He motions toward a long corral where numerous men fight against two. And I see him, Brandon. I call his name out in a whisper. My heart races at 1,000,000 per second as I see him fighting. He's so skillful. I know it's not the time, but I smile proudly as I see him fight. He moves like a true warrior, slamming and punching with force one wolf after another. Ricky dashes toward him as he sees Noah getting closer to him, making my heart drop. I'm ready to run his way, but a she-wolf knocks me down on my back. I look up and my eyes widen as I see Leah smiling over me. Not so tough now, are you? She says, making me angry. Finish her off, Livy. Freya says, making me growl. Brandon, watch your back, kid. Wesley yells, warning me as he stands by my side, making me turn quickly and slam a werewolf with my hands that were launching my way. There's too many of them, Wes, I state as my breath staggers. I don't know if we'll be able to get out of this one this time, boss. I say as I swing my sword, slicing through one dumb wolf after another. I had lost one of my swords, but no matter. One is just fine. And even without a sword, I can easily terminate these imbeciles. But there are too many of them, and more seem to be coming. We were surrounded by wolves and warriors from this pack, and the visiting alphas had already called for reinforcements. It had to be at least 50 or so for me alone, just trying to get to us. And that's not even counting all the ones we have already killed. We can do it, kid. Don't give up. Whatever you do, don't stop fighting. We can do it. I promised I'd get you out of here, and I will. He says as he strikes a wolf on his snout with the head of his mace, making the blood splatter on Wesley's face. Watch out! I say as I see a guy, launching himself toward Wes with a big axe. He ducks just in time, but he still gets knocked over. 3 wolves launch toward me, and make me fall to the ground. Wes! I yell as I see the guy swing with force, barely missing Wesley's head as he moves to the side. He swings again, but Wes keeps dodging him. I told you I'd kill you, boy. And it looks like your time has finally come. Noah says as a guy hits me on my back with force, making me fall to the ground. I am left deaf for a second, with nothing but a ring on my ear as I feel the pain on the back of my head. This is where you end, boy. Now you'll never get to see your precious little sister or father ever again. Don't worry, I'll give them your warm regards, he says, smiling devilishly as he grabs a dagger over his head. He strikes, making me close my eyes, fearing for my life. Is this the end for me? Is this the way I'm supposed to go? I might never get to see Livy again after all. The desire to hold her, to tell her I love her, to say I'm sorry I wasn't there for her all this time, gone. For good. But the dagger never penetrates me. I open my eyes to see a big black and brown wolf hovering over Noah, and in seconds, Noah shifts onto his brown wolf. Wes! I yell out, seeing that the brown and black wolf is his. Wesley's wolf, Shay stands proudly in his place. Get out of here, kid. I got this, he says, as I stand on my feet abruptly, and grab my sword. Wesley hadn't shifted onto his wolf since I could remember. His wolf Shay had gotten mad at him for all the stuff he and his mate, Hope, did in the past. Since then, there had only been one time Shay had appeared. The day he saved me from the rogues who had taken me away from my pack. "No, Wes. I got this," I said as I shifted onto my wolf. I felt euphoria as my bones began to rapidly snap and rearrange into my dark grey wolf. "Dante! Dante! Get out! I got this!" Shay repeats, making me growl. "No, Shay. This is my battle, and I'm ending it." "As you wish, Dante," he responds, making Noah's wolf chuckle. "You and this pathetic old wolf could never take me on," he says, making me growl. We engage, fighting together as we strike bites against each other like mad wolves. I feel more wolves joining, snapping my way and scratching against my fur. I turn, grabbing one by his throat, and snap his neck. It's a madhouse as one wolf under another is beheaded or mauled into pieces. "Brandon, behind you!" A too familiar voice calls my name, making me turn. It's Alaric. What is he doing here? Why is he here? But there is no time to waste. A large brown wolf launches against me, biting my back, and making me whimper. I growl, biting onto his hind leg and making his bite loose. I swing him across and make him hit against another wolf. Judging by his scent and size, he had to be an alpha. "You're mine, King," he says, making me realize who he was. "Not if I finish you off first, Tanus." Tanya Godfrey. He was a ruthless man who had murdered numerous of my rogues, and taken some of my girls. I had been looking for him for nearly 2 years. And now he's here. "Let's dance," he says, threatening me. I growl and attack him, but I yell out as I feel a knife pierce my side. "No!" I hear a woman's voice yell, making my eyes wide. "Liv!" I say, as my eyes see her standing ever so lovely yards away from me. A girl's body lays by her side, gripping her stomach and crying. Seeing my sister here fills me with adrenaline I didn't think possible. "Let me out, Dante! I got this!" I tell my wolf, who obliges. I shift quickly and grab the wolf by his throat, giving him no chance to escape, and begin to squeeze. His hind legs kick against me, scratching at my back and side of my legs, as he struggles to get away. Alaric keeps the others away, as I look at him and we both pause for a second, nodding in understanding. I pull, feeling his neck snap. Instantly, the wolf stops and I can sense that he's gone. One by one, the alphas who were guilty of ending the lives of many innocent wolves are being taken down. But the battle is not over. These alphas seem to have known something was up. There are too many of them. They each brought their armies, and I needed to do something. I couldn't stop fighting now that my little sister was here. I have to keep her safe. But do I want to go and hug her? I look up and see her, smiling as tears fill her eyes, and mine follow. I feel the lump in my throat. I ran to get and hug her. My arms wrap tightly around her as I feel her crying, hugging me tightly. Boy, if I could hold her like this forever. Third-person POV. Livy and Brandon can't help but cry in each other's arms as they embrace each other for the first time in so long. He refuses to let go, holding her tightly with each cry she lets out. His brotherly instincts kick in, just as they have as he's had to take care of so many girls he has rescued. The pain and nervousness that would envelop him each time he saved a new girl, hoping it wasn't Livy who had suffered the same fate as these girls, had finally vanished for good. By the looks of it, Alaric had treated her well and had protected her as he had hoped. She looked so good, so healthy, and so beautiful. Just like he remembered his mother. It was you. Back at the hotel, that was you, wasn't it? Somehow, I knew, deep in my gut I felt something when I saw you, but when Ricky told me you were alive, I just knew it had to be you. Wasn't it? She says through her tears, tightening her hold on Brandon. It was. I'm sorry, I should have stayed. Instead, I ran away. I was so scared to tell you it was me. I'm sorry, sister. I am so sorry, he says, pulling away a little and cupping her face. His heart filled with agony the minute he noticed her scar going from her collarbone to her jaw, making him close his eyes as he averted his head away with a sigh. Livy is filled with the same reaction as she notices his chest. The day they were attacked, he had been struck across his chest. He had 3 large scars that went across from his bottom left rib and across his right shoulder. But given his hard life, there were numerous new scars on his body, and with the battle they were in the middle of, he had fresh new cuts on his arms, legs, and side of his body. Brandon. You're hurt. He chuckled, pulling her in for another hug. I'll be fine, sis. Brandon. We're here. He hears one of his main warriors mind link, making him turn toward the entrance of the territory. His eyes filled with hope as he sees them running toward the crowd, attacking at free will. Don't hurt Alaric Pack, or anyone with them. They're here to help. He says, making them puzzled. What? One of his warriors says, confused. It's true. Brandon's sister is Alpha Alaric's Luna. He's here to help. Madeline says, making a few growl. Brandon gives a warning growl, making them submit quickly. But how? Another warrior adds. I will explain later. You heard my orders. Protect their pack and anyone with them. Kill everyone else. Stay safe, guys. Mads, get out of here. Not to be a killjoy. But we're in the middle of a war here, we could use a hand, please. Zane says, making Brandon and Livy turn. Though he was giving orders, he couldn't help but stay glued to Livy, hugging her tightly. Right. Brandon says, loosening his hold on Livy, who couldn't help but give a little chuckle through her happy tears. Zane ducks as another beta swings at him, making him dodge the blow. You need to stay close, okay? Let's do this, he says, looking at Livy with a smile. Stay close, Liv. I mean it. Don't go anywhere, you hear, he says, making Livy chuckle. You sound like my husband, Ricky. She says, smiling, making Brandon feel a bit of jealousy toward Alaric. He has no idea how lucky he is for having Livy by his side. Don't plan on leaving you again, understand? Don't go anywhere either. Livy says, making him chuckle. Madeline, you stay by my side. If DeMarco comes, I'll rip his head off. Wesley says as his wolf Shay appears with a leap, falling swiftly on top of a wolf that belonged to an opposing alpha. He bites down on his snout, twisting it harshly and breaking the wolf's neck. You got it, Shay. Madeline says, standing by Shay in a fighting position. The fight continues, and many lives are lost, despite each alpha's struggles. Even Alaric had too many of his warriors, men and women hurt. By the time the fight was over, nearly 4 alphas that had assisted to the so-called auction had now been apprehended. 4 were killed. But 2 were nowhere to be found as the battle finally come to an end. The council had finally arrived, and all the warriors, guards, and members of the packs attacking Alaric and Brandon's members were forced to submit. I think that's most of them. Some members got away, but without their alpha, they will not be able to return to their pack without being questioned by their members. It wouldn't be long until we find them and are forced to talk. Caden says, as he stands next to Ricky. Thanks for all of your help. I never thought there'd be a day when we would be fighting for the same side. Brandon says, shaking hands with Caden as he comes close to him. He had first gone to check on his members, ensuring that everyone was okay, and he was notified of the woman and kids back in his territory were okay. It was our pleasure, King. I'm just glad this is finally over. But, I'm afraid Noah and DeMarco got away. We need to keep a lookout for those 2. They were the lowest of the chain, but still key points to this whole operation. Caden adds, making them clench their jaw in disappointment. Caden, Alaric. A council member says, approaching them. Alpha Nordic. Good to see you, sir. Likewise. But, I'm afraid I have bad news. He says, looking at Livy, who is holding hands with Brandon as he looks at her with adoration. I'm afraid we are going to have to arrest you, King. As well as Wesley. He says, making Livy's eyes widen in shock. What? No. Why? She protests, getting in front of Brandon as if she was trying to protect him. Listen, I know he was trying to do good here. But we cannot overlook the fact he went around attacking other packs and killing their members. I never attacked any packs, well. I mean, other than Alaric's once, and the Silver Moon, but that was because I was trying to regain our pack back. He says, genuinely irritated. Isn't there something we can do? Ricky adds, looking at Alpha Nordic. I'm afraid he has to come with us. Look, unless we can prove that your actions had a probable reason to not cause harm, I'm afraid it might be bad for you and Wesley. Wesley has already been exiled from the Primered Pack. Yet, he was caught inside, threatening the Beta's mate and son. I was asking them for help. Why won't you listen? Wesley says as a warrior form the council places his hands in handcuffs. A verbal feud begins, making Livy angry at the situation. She had just gotten her brother back, and now they wanted to apprehend him and take him away like a criminal? Enough! Lucian yells with authority, making everyone quiet down. Look, I know this whole situation sucks. Livy, dear, I promise we will do our best to make sure Brandon is set free in no time. I know many of his actions were for a good cause. But evidence speaks louder than words against actions. Please, son, don't make this harder than it should be. I promise your sister is in good hands, and so is your pack. Until then, we ask that you follow us, peacefully. He says, looking at him with guilt in his eyes. Lucian was a just man. He was tough, no one would dare cross him, but he was just as well. Livy begins to sob, wrapping her arms tightly around Brandon. He hugs her tightly as well, placing his head on top of hers, and closing his eyes. I promise we will be together soon, sister. Please, don't cry. He says softly, trying to soothe her concern. Please, keep my members safe. I will tell Madeline to show you where my members are hiding, but you have to keep your promise to keep them safe. He says, pursing his eyebrows in concern. Ricky nods, giving him his word to protect them. Brandon sighs, he knows fighting is not an option. He has to do what's right, it's what his dad would have wanted. There's a surprise for you once you see my members. Keep him safe. He says, not mentioning another word to Livy, leaving her confused. Wait. Brandon. She says crying, ready to go after him. Ricky pulls her back by the arm gently, and makes her turn. He holds her tightly, making Livy cry in his arms as he soothes her back. It's okay, Liv. I promise, everything will be fine. My dad will not let anyone hurt him. Neither will Blake, they know what he's been through. Everything will be all right, I promise. But I just got him back. It's not fair. It's not fair, Ricky. He's suffered so much already. It's not fair. She says through tears with a broken heart. Everyone can't help but stay silent as they take Brandon and Wesley away in a separate car from the alphas they had apprehended. Lucian sits in the car with Brandon, and Wesley can't help but exchange a sad look with his brother, Tyler, who as far as he knew, Wesley had attacked his mate and son. Wesley knew it was a lie. A lie that Tyler would soon learn as soon as he returned to his pack and talked to Emily himself. His heart was troubled, refusing to believe that Wesley could change for the best. Everyone began to gather their belongings and slowly, the pack began to empty. Very little members were left behind without their alpha who was now a fugitive. A council stayed behind and rounded the pack to warn them. If found guilty of helping DeMarco or Noah by giving them asylum or aiding them in any way, they would be apprehended as well. His Luna was left mad, and the stepsister left somewhat overjoyed, knowing Daddy had promised her the pack, but she had no clue that it would soon come to an end. Karma had already taken course, and soon everything would be set back right for the alphas that were wronged. They would see justice take place. But as for Noah and Hector, it didn't matter how hard they tried to hide. Their thirst for power and revenge would soon backfire, and it would be their time to see the other end of all the pain they had caused many. They were in an endless road to perdition with a dead end. It was just a matter of time until they hit that end. Livy, I'm a bit nervous. What do you suppose we will find in there? Did they say when we can go and talk to Brandon? When can we see him? I asked as we stood in front of the entrance to the territory that belonged to Brandon. It was pretty rural, but it was well maintained, and looked very decent. The entrance looked the same as if you were waiting authorization into a private estate, with the long mature trees, the stone and steel gate with matching walls. But it was different once you were inside. The gates opened, and we were greeted by elderly men who bowed politely as the Y stood to the side to let us go inside. "Miss Olivia Donnelly, Alphas, please, come inside. Our eldest is waiting for you in our main campsite." The place didn't have houses, but was set in camping grounds made of white tarps, still elegant and but livable. There were various houses being built though. It looked as if my brother was working very hard to give these people a good home. Ricky held my hand tightly as we walked carefully inside the territory, observing our surroundings. There were kids, women, and teens no much older than 18 just like me. My heart became overwhelmed, they looked horrified. I couldn't help but become teary, holding my hand up to cover my mouth as a whimper escaped me. A little kid hid behind a young girl, holding onto her leg as if for dear life. I didn't want them to be afraid of me, to be afraid of anyone. I was going to keep my brother's promise and make sure that they were well taken care of while he was away. I was so thankful that my father-in-law, Lucian, had promised to take care of all matters and make sure Brandon was free in no time. "Don't be afraid. We're not here to hurt you, any of you," I said, holding my hand out to the little kid, and then looked at everyone around us, as they looked at us like a trapped rabbit. "Where is Brandon? What happened to him?" a little girl dared to ask as she clutched onto a little rag doll. "My name is Olivia, but you can call me Livy, for short," I said through my tears, smiling at her. "Where is Brandon?" she repeats, looking as if she was on the verge of crying. I couldn't help but cry as well. I sighed, wiping my tears. "Brandon is my brother. He's going to be gone for a little, but he's going to come back. I promise, okay?" I said as I went to stand in front of her and bent my knees to her eye level. "Is he okay?" she asked, letting her tears run down freely, clutching her doll tighter. "He is. I promise," I said, rubbing her shoulders and hands soothingly. "Livy." I heard a man's voice behind me, making me turn. I turned, and my eyes widen in shock as I see a man in a wheelchair. His hair was long past his shoulders, and his beard was long touching his chest. His clothes tattered, and eyes dark brown with hint of black. I couldn't help but gasp in shock. Dad! It had been years since the last time I saw him. And surely, I thought he was dead, surely, that's what Noah had said. "My beautiful girl! It's really you!" he says as he begins to cry. "Daddy! It's you!" I whispered through the lump building in my throat. I couldn't help but run to him, hugging him tightly around his neck. He let out a chuckle through his tears. Son of a gun! Brandon had said there was a big surprise for me here in his pack, but this... "Daddy, it's really you!" I said, crying in joy. "Oh, my beautiful girl! Look at you! You've grown so much!" Brandon was right when he mind-linked me. "You look so much like your mother. You're so beautiful. I missed you so much," he says, cupping my cheeks in his hands and looking at me through his tears. "But, how? Alpha Noah said you had killed yourself. I thought you had left me. I was so alone without you, Daddy. Noah. That good-for-nothing imbecile. He stole the pack from me, Livy. It was all an act to take the pack from me, and take your mom away. I was supposed to die that day, not your mom. He says, looking at me through painful eyes, crying and holding onto the wheels of his chair. What happened that day, Daddy? The day we were attacked. I ask, reaching out and placing my hands on his arm. That day, he asked me to follow him. We were going to announce the new alliance with the Primered Pack. There was a big celebration waiting to happen. Your mom was adamant on helping in the kitchen, you were so anxious. She decided to take you out for a stroll, along with Brandon. Meanwhile, Noah came to me, telling me there was trouble in one of our borders. He says, looking down on his chair. He was my beta. I never thought anything wrong. He was still mad that your mom had accepted his rejection years earlier. I thought we were over it. Mom rejected him? I asked, confused by his words. He nods, looking away. The memory was too painful for him. He was your mom's first mate. She was born an Omega, and he hated her for it. But I never cared, I thought she was beautiful. When he rejected her, she came crying. But the minute she walked in, I smelled her. It was the most beautiful scent I had ever smelled in my life, and I knew then, she was my mate. I was her second chance mate, and there was no way I would let her go. I had waited 5 years to find a mate. Sure, she was younger, and I was willing to wait until she was ready, but that night, she was willing to make it right. I made her mine and marked her. He says, smiling through tears, reminiscing on that day. The next day, during breakfast, he already had someone else next to him, smiling as if it had never happened. But his smile faded when he was your mom and I walking down and holding hands. He saw the mark on her neck, and just lost it. He tried talking down on her, but me being the alpha and being in front of her, he had no choice but to submit. It wasn't until that fateful day when he took me to those sides of the border. He says, as his face fell and he began to cry. He led those rogues into our pack, with the intentions of them attacking me. It was supposed to be an easy task, but Noah didn't know that that was the place she loved taking you and Brandon because of the wisterias. She loved those flowers, and they had just bloomed. I should have been there sooner. I should have protected her. Daddy, it wasn't your fault. It wasn't. It was Noah, and I promise, he will pay for everything he's done to us. I said, reaching over and hugging him tightly. He took advantage of my grief. The fact I was weak, and drinking. He bashed me on the head one night, when I went to visit the Wisterias, hoping to be able to say a proper goodbye to your mom and Brandon. Before I knew it, someone attacked me, and beat me real good. They left me for dead miles away, and I woke up 3 weeks later. I later found out that it was Wesley who had saved me. He killed the rogues that had attacked me, and made Noah think I had died too. But, they had done a real bad job on me. My leg was badly hurt, and they had no choice but to cut my leg off. Then I found my back had been hurt real bad too. I can walk, but with lots of help. How did you and Brandon meet again? I asked, wiping my tears away. Wesley. I told him about the whole incident, and he was the one who had heard of teen wolves being kidnapped and used for sinister means. He set off and didn't stop until he found Brandon. He brought him home to me, but when I begged him to see if he could rescue you, he said he couldn't. Because Noah had told him you had died too. Then he said you had left, ran away. Other times he said you had been sent off somewhere else. It was always a different thing. No matter what my spies tried, Noah always had an excuse to keep you away from anyone knowing if you were alive or not. He kept you away all this time, but I knew, something in me knew you were alive, and Brandon promised one day he would find you. Everything Dad was saying was hurtful. It brought back old wounds and surely new ones. But I was just glad I had finally gotten my dad back, and I was not going to stop until I got Brandon back with us. We stayed and talked for a long time. I introduced him to Ricky, and little by little everyone came around. They were not scared of us, and even the little kids began to play around as normal. But not as Brandon was not here, I could not leave them here defenselessly. They were adamant to stay, refusing our help, but after much arguing, Ricky convinced Dad, who then convinced everyone else to follow us. After nearly 5 hours of being in my brother's territory, we finally set off to return home, bringing everyone in his care back with us. His pack. Because anyone can tell me otherwise, but he is more an alpha who cares for his people more than many I have come to know. It was nearly 5 in the morning when we finally arrived back in our pack. But again, I began to cry, filled with emotions as I see my pack out and ready to receive everyone with open arms. There was hot coffee and drinks out for everyone, warm food, emergency supplies and blankets for those who needed. I couldn't help but hugged my girls and thanked them for being so hospitable. We set everyone in a warm room to rest after they had a warm meal, and of course, Ricky and I couldn't bear to leave my dad's side. It must have been well past 7 in the morning when sleep finally took over me. But rest assured, I will not stop until Noah is found, and my brother is set free. I had never fought for anything in my life, always too scared to stand up for myself, but thanks to Ricky I learned to fight for what's right and defend my people, for my family. And that is exactly what I intended to do. Justice will prevail, and Noah will pay for everything he has put my family through. Livy, are you sure this is going to work? It seems a bit sketch. What if they don't buy it and refuse to set him free? I asked Madeline as I stood beside her, looking at countless papers that, from my understanding, Brandon had kept secret from everyone. It was all the proof we needed to show the packs and all the alphas that were working with Noah and Hector. It showed all the attacks, with dates, and how many losses, from each pack when Noah and the other alphas were trying to take their packs away to gain their territory. They were all neighboring packs, and from what I gather, a lot of the girls that had gone missing were from these packs, and thankfully, they had been saved by my brother's pack, and were under Brandon's care. He had saved many of these girls, but since they were technically supposed to be dead, their families thought they were non-existent. All these innocent girls had to live with the guilt, knowing their families thought they were dead. At least until we could catch Noah and make him face the council, and hopefully, these girls would talk against him. These girls were the perfect key to putting Noah and all these pathetic excuses behind walls. But the question was, will they be willing to talk against him? Look, I know it will be hard to convince these girls. They are still really scared, but I know they won't say no. How can you be so sure? Because they will do anything for Brandon. Your brother is a good man, Livy. He's done so much for us, given so much, and placed himself in so much danger for each of us. The least we could do, is testify against those bastards and help Brandon get out of there. Madeline says, making me feel pensive. Whatever the outcome, I'm willing to stand next to Brandon. I will not stop until he is set free. I owe him that much. And more, she says, looking over the papers. Ricky had taken off early this morning to see what was happening. I was so mad, I wanted to leave with him and see my brother. But maybe it was for the best. Dad was very weak, and I took advantage and called in one of our best doctors to look at him. She took him to the hospital for further examinations and called me a while ago to tell me he was fine. He was just a bit dehydrated and hadn't eaten since the morning he found Brandon had not returned home. I brought him home soon after and then came to meet with Madeline after she asked to talk to me. I can't believe everything she has gone through as well. Her dad is a cruel man. He took the pack from her, who was the descendant of the alpha position from her mom's side. After her mom's death, he became the alpha and then told Madeline he would not give the pack to her, but to her stepsister. Madeline is sure that the pack will disintegrate after her stepsister takes over. She's a spoiled brat who has never had to work or train a day in her life. I hope that everything works out for Madeline, she seems like a nice girl. We went over a plan and then were relieved when Ricky called me. Baby, the council was willing to let Brandon out on bail. We're coming home now, but he has to be back for a hearing in a few weeks, he says, making my eyes widen. My heart began to race uncontrollably, making me want to cry. Really? How? Oh my God, I couldn't get my words out. I was far too overwhelmed. I felt the knot in my throat, making me cover my mouth as I whimpered. How far are you? I managed to ask. We're a few minutes away. I told you I'd get him home to you. And I'm keeping my promise. Get the pack ready, we need to talk to everyone, he says, making me nod as if he could really see me. Okay. I love you, I said before he hung up. I wanted to talk to Brandon and hear his voice, but maybe it's for the best I talk to him in person. I felt the time was going by extremely slowly. Goddess, why are they taking so long? I asked as I paced back and forth in front of the pack house. Everyone kept looking at me in concern. By now, word had gotten out about what had happened. Everyone knew and was aware of what Noah had done, and they all knew that the notorious Rogue King was none other than my brother, Brandon. Alphas and Lunas of all kinds of packs kept calling, asking if it was true. Some were obviously running their mouth, talking badly behind my back, but I was not paying mind to it. They could say whatever they pleased, I was at peace, and too happy to care. Have any of you seen Leah anywhere? I haven't seen her all morning. I hear Skyla ask one of the guards next to me. No. No, sorry, Alpha Skyla. We haven't seen her, they say, making Madeline sigh, rolling her eyes as she looks away, crossing her hands. Everything okay between you two? I ask, standing next to her. I told him I was not going to talk to him until he set everything straight with Leah. I'm not willing to be with him and share him with someone else. Especially her. I can't stand her, she says, scuffing and looking away. So what's the plan? He's been looking for her all morning, but she apparently is nowhere to be found. God, she's unbelievable. Can you believe she came to my room last night, yelling at me and trying to fight me, she says, making my eyes widen. What? Yet. She says. I am not going anywhere. Even if I find my true mate one day, he will just have to deal with me having two, so you better do the same because I refuse to reject Skyla or accept his rejection. God, this is such a mess, she says, making me feel sorry for her. I always thought meeting my true mate would be memorable. A loving encounter, memorable, you know? Instead, I find he already has a chosen mate, and on top of that, she's psycho, she says, making me chuckle. I'm sure you will work something out. Skyla is not the same immature kid I once thought him to be. If he truly wants to be with you, he will find a way to make things right. I say, looking at her with a smile. They're here, they're here. I hear a little girl yell out, making my eyes widen in excitement. My heart began to beat rapidly again, and Dad came to my side, holding my hand to calm my nerves. I see the black SUVs pull up, and my eyes widen when I see my brother come out of the truck next to Ricky. Brandon! I whispered, looking at him through tears. I couldn't help but run to him, wrapping my hands around his neck as I held him tight, crying in his arms. Sis! God! It's you! It's really you! I finally have you back, he says, holding me real tight, crying in my shoulder. Surely, storms are coming soon, but for now, I just wanted to indulge in this moment. I finally had my brother back and my dad. And it was all thanks to Zero and E-Man, my man, Alaric. None of this would have ever been possible if he hadn't come into my life. I thank the heavens for him and for everything he has done for me. Join our Facebook and WhatsApp group for more updates, link is given in description. Rest audiobook will be continued in next episode.